You know, and he's gonna come to my now I'm a Nike guy. And so I'm not really an Adidas guy, but he has on some really cool Adidas, so I can't really say a whole lot. But he's a good friend of mine. I'm excited to have you on the stage. I'm just going to let you do your thing.
This has been a long time coming. Hodge Flemings has been doing some awesome work, and I'm just glad to be here in New York City, and I'm glad to be here with all of you sharing some information. So can you guys, I know this doesn't happen often, but the person in the team that puts together things like this, if you've ever done one of these things before, you know it takes a lot of work. So please give them the team. But get rid of those Nikes. Adidas all the way. And ABT does stand for about. Okay. You did pick up on that. I'm so honored to be here with you guys. I just want to spend a few minutes with you talking a little bit about how you can actually build your business or build a business based off of building a brand. Some of you already have a brand. Some of you are working on that brand specifically. Some of you have one but don't even realize you may be a brand, and you could be maximizing your passion, monetizing your passion. I'm going to get into a little bit of that, and I'll share with you 5 specific steps that I've learned from or I've used in some way, shape, or form that have helped me get to this point. Hopefully those steps can help you as well. I'll also share a little bit of my background and the story so you can understand like why I should even be up here even giving you this type of information. And then we'll do a little Q&A because I'd love to really get through the presentation pretty quickly so that I can get to more of your direct questions. Before I get started, I'd like to know how many of you here, show of hands, are actually working on building your brand right now. Like you are a brand. Okay, great. Most of the room. So I want to find out, give me a sense of the range. Are we mostly like just starting out? Let me see the show of hands that are within maybe a year or less, or 18 months or less on that. Okay, show me about a year and a half to about 2 years. Anyone over 5 years working on their brand? Okay, so pretty even crowd across the board. All right, so there should be something here for everybody. First thing is, I want to give you a little bit of a background on my story so you can kind of get a sense a little bit as to why I'm even speaking here today. Because I was just like many of you sitting in those seats at one point. Back in '99, I started a radio show. The way this happened was I saw an ad in a newspaper that said, host your own radio show. So I get back in town, I was traveling, I get back in town, I call the station, I'm like so pumped because I had a technology background, but I also had communications background. I worked for tech companies, but I liked to talk. I wasn't like an engineer more than I was someone who liked to talk about what the engineers were doing. So I could actually break that down for people that didn't understand. And at that time, I didn't realize that that was a market opportunity. But nonetheless, I wanted to do this radio show, called the station, and they said, sure, come on over, we love it, we don't have a technology show. People are still trying to figure out how this computer stuff works. So I get over there, and of course, it's to buy a half hour of airtime. So I'm thinking they loved me, they loved the idea. I drive over there just to find out that it costs money. So what did we do? We didn't pack the bags, I didn't stop. I said, you know what? I have a full-time job, I'm working, I'm gonna do this on the side. I'm gonna pay the money and I'm gonna find sponsorship to be able to overcome the cost, be able to deal with the cost. And that was kind of like the start to the timeline here. So from that point on till about 2007, I was working full-time in a career in the tech field while I was working on my passion. How many of you can relate to having one foot out the door because you have to have exactly some money coming in? I think this is one of the smartest ways to build. I think it's very honoring to see someone, or inspiring to some degree, to see someone just jump out and go do it. But I'm a little bit more conservative than that. I like to build, I like to hedge my bets better than that. So I really subscribe to the idea of working your day job as much as you can while you're building your brand, until it gets to a point where you absolutely know it's time to go. But if you're not at that point, then it's probably not time to go yet. You're either being a little too lax, or you're not pushing hard enough. But one of those two things, something will eventually have to give. In 2005, my business partner, Nicole, decided to quit her job. This is my wife, by the way. She decided to quit her job. And she was the COO of a tech training company. So I said, this is ridiculous. Why don't you come work and help execute my brand bigger by putting in the infrastructure, by being the CEO, by running the business. Let me work on the content, the strategy, the business partnerships, all of those ideas while you focus on all of the background. And so that's where we started doing that in 2005. Now here's the thing, I'm still working my day job. Now in 2007, I get laid off. I get laid off, and right before I get laid off, I had been building the brand, building it and building it. We had a deal with AOL to do a video blog. Now this is 2007. This is before Engadget, this is before TechCrunch, this is before all of that stuff. We had a deal to do a video blog with AOL. The deal was $250,000. It was going to launch our company. On the way, we hired lawyers, we paid the money, expensive lawyers, we paid the money for the contracts, did the forward and back with all of the signatures. So we had to bring the hard copy to Dulles, Virginia. We're driving from Maryland to Dulles, Virginia. We get the phone call. Deal's off the table. We were going to our signing. Deal's off the table. They just got a new CEO in place and he's ripping up budgets, things have changed. 3 months after that, or 6 months or so after that, recession hits. And we're like slammed. So do we pack up and call it quits? Absolutely not. We continue to work on that. Right now we've grown to 6 staff members. One is actually here with us, Shai, who is awesome. He's in the front row. He does all of our editing and all of our web. He is not for hire. Just say hi to him. He's awesome. We're still playing catch up from the recession. This is what the radio station looked like back in 1999. This was a 10,000 watt little itty bitty radio station that you could hear across the street. Like no one could hear this. But the dream had to be bigger than that, and I had to start somewhere. So we go from there to now being able to reach millions of listeners and viewers every single week. So our little company actually has contracts with these networks. So we have contracts with CNN, or Turner overall, which is CNN and HLN, Fuse, NPR, NBC, and then we have all of our social stuff that we do as well. But basically 4 national TV networks, 2 national radio networks, and then web and social. All of that now falls under Mario Armstrong Media. So many people would look at that as like aggregate different things. And what I'm saying to you at this particular stage is your one brand could be maximizing all of these things. You shouldn't see it as, I'm a freelancer. No, you're a media company. You're not a freelancer. Multiply that thinking. I'll get into that in a little bit. Also do a ton of daytime TV stuff as well. So things are going super, super well at this point, but it took years to build this brand. It took the amount of hours that they tell you in the tipping point that you have to have. So it took a while, but now we have 6 employees, including me, 6 team members, I really like to say, and we're doing everything from generating revenue by producing content with these contracts, to public speaking, to developing products, to doing brand partnerships. And my biggest, newest, most exciting thing is licensing. Hodge had mentioned earlier about having the title of Digital Lifestyle Expert. After about, I think it's been almost a year. After, maybe it's been 8 months or so, it just feels longer. But after about that amount of time and some money, we finally got the approval like last week that Digital Lifestyle Expert is now trademarked. So now that clears the way for me to actually create or license Mario Armstrong Digital Lifestyle Expert. And that brand should mean something in the field. That brand should mean something to parents. It should mean something to kids. It should mean something if Beats by Dre says, hey, we want to do a Digital Lifestyle Expert headphone. What does that mean? So trademarking your brand is something, figuring out what your brand is and then getting serious about getting that TN1 there is really important if you want to look at revenue opportunities beyond the obvious. In social, one of my favorite apps, I don't know if Manoush talked about this earlier, I couldn't make it in time, but Social Cam is one of my favorite mobile video apps to help build your brand. It's better than Vidi, it's better than Vine if you ask me, because you can have limitless time. So you could be shooting quick video on your phone, editing it, uploading it, and sharing it to your social graph all within minutes. And depending on what that video is about, it should be about whatever your brand is, helping to build that brand. But building a business is no joke. It's a ton of hard-ass work. You have to want to fail fast, reiterate quick, be flexible, and get support. And here's why. I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. This is my bank account in 2008. My bank account had 4 accounts. We had a business and 2 checkings. Well, I thought one was a savings, but there were 3 checkings. We were treating one as a savings. So we had 4 accounts. 2 of us were getting close to, my wife was getting more money than I was. I think she was 6-figure at the time. And she walked away. And I was close to it, but not quite there. I got laid off. And this was our bank account in 2008. You see the red. You guys see that, right? Not the red arrow, the red number. So I think, let's see, $4.56 was in one, $9.06, 28. So I didn't even have enough money to actually make up the $77 deficit that we were in. That was 2008, and I'm showing this to you because I don't care who's telling you you can't move forward. I don't care what brick wall you're dealing with. I don't care if it's financial. I don't care if it's in your family. I don't care if it's your lack of vision or whatever. You think that there's a lack of your vision? If it's you're beating up yourself, I don't care what it is. Everybody is dealing with some form of pain, some form of challenge, some form of issue. The difference between entrepreneurs that are serious about making their dream happen and others that are talking about it is that they can look at something like that in the face and they can say, okay, game face on, how do we figure this out? Not, how do I go and get a job? How do I get back out into the marketplace to get a career? You're already at your bottom. How much lower don't give up now. I'm not kidding, look at me. Look at this. I'm at a Coinstar machine. You can't get any more bottom. Literally. And that was not for Starbucks, that was for gas. This isn't real, I can laugh at it now. But it was no laughing matter, there were tears. It was pain. I was calling family and friends, leaning on my brother who didn't have 2 nickels to scratch together. He's selling stuff on eBay. I'm being dead serious. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you gotta stop playing around and understand that it's only you that can get in your own way. It's only you. Get the dream killers away from you, get the right support systems, be okay with your dream taking a left or a right turn. It's okay to iterate, it's okay to be flexible. It doesn't have to happen the exact way you want it to happen. So step number 1, visualize your path. People talk about what they want to do. I don't see enough people actually wanting to visualize. Yeah, it may be monetary. Yeah, I want the cars. Yeah, I want to be on TV. Yeah, I want to be a consultant. I want to be a published author. Whatever it is. But you talk about it, but to me, until it hits your subconscious, it's not with you for every waking moment. And for me, that recipe is to write it down. Not type it down, write it down. For me, that seems to work the best. It gets into my subconscious by writing out what my path is. What is the ultimate thing, the highest thing that I'm looking to achieve? On that same sheet of paper, at the bottom, where am I now? Okay, now I have all this white space in the middle. This is where you start to look at the deals that are coming your way, the opportunities that are coming, the emails, the phone calls, the ideas that you're thinking about what you want to do next. Do those things line up to that dream? If they don't line up to that dream, those things are a waste of time. I don't care how much money it is. This isn't about making money. This is about having a better life. I hate this phrase when people say, just follow your passion, you'll make money. Bullshit, sorry. But it is. To me, it's baloney to me. You better know at least, we're going to get into this, more than 3 ways to generate revenue off of your brand. One's not enough. You better know at least. And that's usually not enough for me. I'm more like 5 and 6, but at least 3 ways. So number 1, visualize your path. That means write it down. That means actually see it. That means sit in peace and quiet. Find a place where you can zen for a few minutes and actually think about what do you want to give to this world? What's the impact you want to have? And that will help give you this clear view of what that path is, then quickly write it down. You can digitize it later. Put it in Evernote so you can always update it. That's fine. But the initial step for me that seems to work best for people I work with is for them to write it down first. And today I want you to do this. I don't care what industry you're in. I see some of my folks here from a group in New York that's called the Experts Collective, which is this awesome group that the founder is actually here, or one of the founders at least, that came up with this idea of getting a bunch of lifestyle experts, people that are authentic, they're credible, and they're working their butts off, they built their brands, and now they're in this group called the Experts Collective. And they all come from different disciplines, and so there's no competing across it, but it's a great way for an organization to be able to find an expert in a particular area that they have an interest in. And I just want to give the reason why I say that is because both of those gentlemen here, Thomas Farley right there, put your hands up, Thomas. If you want to talk to him about the Experts Collective, that'd be great. And of course, the doctor mixologist right there, Daryl, he's also in it. Mixologist is cool. He will be doing drinks at happy hour based off of the speech. I just put him out there to do that. Where are we doing that, Daryl? Shots. But you need to start thinking of yourself as a media company. And that's what I think of when I think of what Thomas has done with the Experts Collective and what he's done with his own brand of being about Mr. Manners. That's his brand, mannerisms. And so how do you think of yourself not as a freelancer, not as a writer, not as a blogger, not as a speaker, not as an author, but as a media company? It's too small of a vision these days to think of yourselves any less. Because all we have is media, and it's all available to us now. Social is all available to us now. Traditional has become a little bit more available to us now for those that can really make some noise in social. So I don't know how the others, if you guys are cool with like stimulus response and asking for callback. But right now, what I want to do is see if I can get you guys to just all in tune on a count of 3 to just be down with being a media company today. So on the count of 3, I want you to say, I am a media company, like you actually mean it. On the count of 3, do not embarrass me. This thing is being recorded on video. I'm going to show this to my mother. We'll edit that part out, but I am going to show this to Mom. So hook me up, make me look good so she feels proud. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I am a media company. How many of you honestly believe that? Can you believe that you are? That you can get there if you didn't know that today? Good. Who still doesn't believe that you can be a media company? If there's a challenge, I'd like to know why. It'd be an interesting piece of dialogue. Not that I'm right, I'm just to be great for a conversation. I'm just curious. Okay. Positivity's in the room, that's great. Number 2, identify revenue. Identify your revenue. This is very, very important. I always say have a minimum of 3 ways to generate revenue. How many of you that are on your own now have at least 3 ways to generate revenue? Be honest with yourself. Do not lie to yourself. This is very important that you know that you're making money at least 3 ways. In the back, how are you making? Is that Jeff? How are you making your money? 3 ways. Shout them out.
Rich, speaking, product, and workshops.
Fantastic. Give me another hand. Who else had a hand up? Yes, sir, in front.
Speaking, publishing, and coaching.
Speaking, publishing, coaching. Let me get one more. Yes, ma'am.
Blogging, speaking, and doing events.
Blogging, speaking, and events. As you can see, there's already a little bit of diversity. There are a ton of ways. If you haven't thought about all the different ways that you can make revenue, I'm giving you like close to 15. Screen capture it, hashtag it. But seriously, these are so many different ways to make money in this branding age while you're building your brand on your own with the tools you already have in your pocket or in your home. I'm not going to run down them. You can see them all. Webinars, developing content, video blogging, online events, offline events, being a contributor to networks, doing something called satellite media tours where you're working with brands. So there are a lot of ways. Do not get discouraged with the amount of ways that you can actually monetize your passion. If you only are working on 3 or less ways to monetize your passion, you need to open that up. Because one of those may fall off, or several of those may dry up. When public speaking saved our business in 2008, that's the only thing that helped us to start bouncing back. But I do less of it now than ever before, because it doesn't line up right now with what my ultimate goals are. Because I know what my vision is, and I know what the path I'm trying to take. So I choose these things very specifically when I want to do these types of events. Public speaking, I'm going to run through some of these because I know we're getting short of time and I want to get to Q&A. Public speaking, great way to generate buzz. Do yourself a favor, please understand what the value of your hour is. As a brand and a person building their business, understand what your hourly worth is. You don't want to be all over the map, pricing things all over the map because of how you feel or where it is and all these other things that get into the emotional way of you making money to build your business. Which is why my #1 recommendation at the monetization part is find someone else to do the money for you. If you're the talent, find somebody else to handle the financial negotiations for you. Work a deal, get someone to do it with you, make sure you trust them, educate them about what you are, what you represent, the type of conversations you want people to have, because you don't want people that are buying your services to have a bad taste in their mouth because of how someone else is dealing with them, but you don't want to be in those discussions. You will trust me when I tell you, I was doing $500 per speaking gig. The minute Nicole stepped in, I was doing $2,000 per speaking gig. And I thought she was out of her mind. What are you doing? You're going to ruin my reputation. I don't do 2,000. What are you doing? You're gonna push people away. I'm not going to get any business. Now we're doing 10K to speak. Easy, she gets it easy. So don't shoot yourself short, and don't underestimate the amount of time you put into public speaking. Research, time for preparing, travel. You better charge for your travel. I'm not talking about the flight. I'm talking about the hours you're in the air, the hours you're getting your luggage, the hours you're finding a taxi. All of that gets billed. If you don't put a value to your hour, no one else will. This is how you can also stay very consistent. Well, if it's a local presentation, I can drive to it. I'm not spending 8 hours flying. If I'm flying and I'm spending 8 hours, you're paying for those 8 hours. That's an opportunity lost for my business. That's time I'm away from being able to make money for my business. But here again, let someone else handle that. So you don't have to. They just love you. You come in, you sprinkle in with your good and your joy, you tell them why it's going to be so great, and then you say, okay, oh, you want to talk about money? Wait a minute, that's a separate conversation. Let me patch you over to XYZ. I would go through some of these event ideas that you can do, but I want to skip these real quick. These are just other ideas that if you want to talk to me later about how you can monetize some of these other things, I want to get into that. But I want to get through these tips real quick. #3, in this situation, you have to scale yourself. How many of you, show of hands, be honest, be real with me, are a one-woman man band right now? Thank you for being honest. Today's the day you stop thinking like that. Today's the day you realize, you know what? When I make money, I'm going to start to shave off a percentage of that money and put it into the business bank account for hiring talent. Because the most important thing to me, as someone that's solo or has 1 or 2 people with me, is my time. You cannot be at multiple places at the same time, at least not yet. I've tried to figure out how to get damn near close to that. Damn near close to that. But you have to play to those strengths. Outsource your weaknesses. We're all not perfect. So just give up on trying to do the HTML code if HTML code isn't your thing. Just let it go. Why is that all of a sudden a new important challenge for you? That was back when you were in high school and college. Not now. You don't need new important challenges. You pay someone to deal with your new important challenges. That way you can focus on doing what you do best and not worry about all the stuff that you have to deal with on your weaknesses. People on my team, starting with Shy, are smarter than me. Share your wealth. Share the opportunity. Don't be afraid of the pie. It's bigger than you think. As I mentioned, we got to this point because we actually invest in our company. We know, okay, Mario, you're going to do public speaking. Well, a percentage of that has to go back into the business. It's not go time, go party. It's not, oh, that's money for me to go shopping. You got to build all of that into the structure of your business. This is a more in-depth conversation I can have with some of you if you need that a little bit later on how we kind of figured that out through some trial and error. #4, don't market your brand. Too many people are trying to market. Don't push your brand on me. Don't push your brand on someone. Just by saying that mentally is I'm going to market my brand, already to me puts you in a different mindset of how you're going to operate. Instead, I'd rather market your mission. I don't tell people I'm a technology reporter or I'm a technology writer or a blogger. I don't say that. I don't say that. What I say is I want to inspire people to live better lives by using technology. That's what I live by. That's what drives me. That's what defines what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and where I'm going to do it. Not the what. You have to know the why behind your what. Stop talking about your what and talk about your why. Your why is much more compelling. Your why is much more interesting. It's the story. It's the energy. It's the movement. It's the passion. It's what you live for to do this thing. If I ask Hodge what he does right now, Hodge isn't going to tell me he's an event organizer. He's just not going to say it. But there are people that would say that. He's not going to say that. He's going to say, I did just one side of him. I deliver events to help people build their brands and build their businesses. So know your why behind your what. Number 5, this is the last one. Beware of exclusivity. Watch out for the exclusive stuff. You know, this is a great problem to have if you get to this point or if you had these types of deals. But be cautious about anyone that wants to do a tweet up or some type of sponsorship program. And for that amount of time, you are locked into that particular brand. You cannot talk about their competitors or any of these other things. Be aware of that. Exclusivity, number 1, should come at a premium. You charge extra for exclusivity. Number 2, don't always take it for granted that it has to be the way it always was. For example, I'm on multiple TV networks. Some of these networks compete. How the heck is a guy on multiple networks that in some people's minds, executives' minds, they compete? That does not happen in this industry. We were able to figure it out, so lawyer up. That's the other thing. Lawyer up. All right, and wrap it up on the final thoughts. You work during the day, but you make history, you build your brand in the evening.